Hey guys, Alex from Ellis Guitars here, bringing you the first and what's probably going to be a couple videos about Ellis Guitars, about how we got started, about what we're doing, about the products we make, and we're really excited. And so, to start us off, to talk about how we got to where we are now, we figured it'd be best to bring on the Ellis himself, Mr. Mark. How are you, man?
Doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So. Let's start at the beginning. How did you get started as a musician, really?
As a musician, so I came from not a very musical family, but a mother who had a piano in her house and loved to play.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be the little kid just like his mother and wanted to play too. And of course, it was horrible. But they bought me this little harmonium, which is a little tiny, like plug in the wall. Air organ,
Yeah.
and it had numbers on every single key, which was kind of fun. Anyway, I had this little book, and I would follow the numbers, and I would learn to play like that. So I was 5 years old, and I decided I'm going to get some tape and go over to my mom's piano and number all the keys and bring my harmonium into real life. So starting at 5, I started playing the songs on the piano, and then I would start writing my own songs, which was kind of fun. They were horrible, but but yeah, I started then, and my parents were like, well, I think he might enjoy music, poor thing. So I told my parents early on, I want to play guitar. Mm-hmm. And they said, oh, absolutely not. So I stuck with piano, and I played that for a while. And then I was like, once I got into junior high, I was like, hey, I really want to play guitar. Mm-hmm. And they said, oh, well, no, you can be in band. How about trumpet? And I said, trumpet sounds fun. They're like, no, we think that will screw up your lips. Why don't you play something else like saxophone? Which is hilarious because trumpet doesn't really screw up your lips, but saxophone does.
Yeah. That's how my parents were. I wanted to play drums, and they're like, no, how about violin?
Violin?
Yeah. So I played violin for like 9 years.
Well, that's adjacent. It's at least had strings.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to play drums.
Well.
My mom told me she didn't want me tapping on everything, but
Truth.
what did I still do?
Oh, I know.
I still tapped.
Dude,
anyway.
brutal. So I started playing saxophone, and everything was great until they had this thing at the end of the year called jazz band. Mm-hmm. And jazz band was the same thing as regular band, except they were supposed to be hip. But there was a drum kit, an electric bass, and electric guitar. And it was the first time I saw somebody our age playing a guitar, and it was amazing. And he soloed, and it was so cool. And I thought in my head, I was like, next year, I want to try for that.
Yeah.
So I told my parents I'm going to buy one. So I saved up money, and I went to this really junky pawn shop place, and I was going to buy this acoustic guitar with a hole in it.
Yeah.
Not the one that's supposed to be there, but an extra hole.
Oh, okay.
So it was like $10 or something like that. I didn't have a job, so it was pretty good that I saved up that much. Anyway, so we go to buy that. And my parents freak out. They're like, you can't have this. And I'm like, I want this. You can't have this.
Hold on. I have no idea where we were.
Okay. So I was going to get this acoustic guitar with this extra hole in it that's not supposed to be there. It's only a couple bucks. So I went to go buy it. My parents freaked out. They said, you can't have this. And I said, I'm going to have it. I saw this guy play guitar, and he is like 13, and he's my new hero, and I'm going to be this kid.
Yeah.
So they freaked out. They're like, no, you can't do it. Too bad. So I was mad. Christmas comes around, and lo and behold, there's a good electric guitar, and I lost my mind. And I had so much fun. I carried it everywhere, and I loved it. And still to this day, it's the only guitar that I own that's not an Ellis guitar, and I will never get rid of it. I love it too much.
Yeah.
But that started me on this crazy, horrible path of music. So I started getting in bands as fast as I could. Mm-hmm. And of course we were horrible. And then we got better. And then we learned this showmanship and all this stuff. And turns out I really enjoyed writing music.
Yeah.
So I would write music for other people. And I just really wanted to be involved in music. And it went to the point that I became a full-time touring musician. And I played as much as I could for anybody who would listen. And it was great until it's time to grow up.
Yeah.
And things change, but thankfully, from all the stuff on the road and how to fix my own guitars, and talking to other roadies who are way more talented than I'll ever be, I was able to learn this stuff and went through luthier training, and now I have an adjacent music career that I'm not playing it myself, but I'm able to create these instruments that I always wish that I had to equip other people to play with.
So as part of your music career, you also did studio session work, right?
Absolutely.
And so, like, how did your experience being in the studio, like, what were your takeaways that really
Yeah.
led you to kind of lean into, especially the electronic side? Which we're
Oh,
gonna
I
get
see
to
where you're
here in a
going with
few
this. Yeah. So, as a session musician, there's a couple ways of going about it. If you're a hired gun, basically, and you're going in to help someone on their album, you go in and you play the tracks, and you're doing the best you can to get it done as fast as possible because time is money. How it works is you do a track, you do a second track, so they double it up. They listen to it in context. It may or not be the right fit. If it's not, you grab a different guitar with has a different tone. You retune up to match. You intonate. You do whatever you got to do to get it ready. You do the same thing. Two tracks, see if it goes. Not. This can go on for hours, and you're just literally blowing through money.
Right.
So if you have your own studio and you're recording for yourself, it's not as big of a deal because you're not wasting money, but you are wasting a ton of time. So during COVID, when everything shut down, I was trapped in my own house with my family, and I did everything I could for an escape. So I got back into recording. So I was recording my own music, and I realized I'm so sick of having to put up guitars and keep changing them when there's a tone in mind that I'm going for, and it drives me crazy that I just can't get it.
Yeah.
So I had the time, and I was like, I think I can crack this. So I did. I mean, I was so excited that I was able to put something on a guitar that wasn't digital. It was fully analog. I mean, there's no batteries, there's nothing like that. You put it in, you set it or you forget it, and now you can really unlock all the tones from one guitar and really create a multi-tonal experience that's like I'm reaching for different guitars for takes, but I don't have to retune, I don't have to re-intonate, I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just have it at my, in front of me.
Yeah. So that is the X series pickup blending system that we'll talk about here and probably in another video. But so you have this X series, right? Patented, selling those.
That's
and
right.
You also
Fully
have
patented. Yes.
your custom guitars on the side.
Yes.
So why both?
Why both? So all I really cared about in the beginning was creating a multi-tonal instrument. I came up with this, X series pickup blending system. At the time, didn't have a name, and all I wanted was to put that in other people's guitars and just say, "Hey, here's something for you."
Yeah.
But the more I fished it around, talking with people, and they wanted to talk about licensing the product, they were really kind of bastardizing what it was supposed to do, and it really bothered me that these people were trying to put what I thought was the awesome, great innovation, and totally ruining it. And I mean, and it's missing the point. It's not like these other things that I see that are Bluetooth or need batteries or 9 volts or have to be tethered to other proprietary things.
Yeah.
This is a whole new thing. So because of that, I pulled all the licensing back, and I said, I'm going to make my own instruments, put them in how they're supposed to do, show the world that. And then as I started making them, some of your personality comes out in your own creations. And I love weird woods, and I love things with stories. So every piece of wood I have has a really crazy story, or I tracked it down real weird, or there's just always something to share. So they end up being their own thing, and it took off. I mean, we started doing the trade show circuit, and we would get huge crowds that would come over, really interested in what we're doing because we didn't look like all the other Strats or Tellys or Les Pauls that you see everywhere else.
Right.
I mean, there's something familiar about the shape and feel, but really, I mean, the look would draw them in, but it's the tones that would keep them. And,
Right.
And I would tell them, I was like, you don't even need to buy one of my guitars. I said, if you just buy some of our electronics, I'm just as happy.
Right. You can make your guitar sound like this.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why guitars too it was kind of a chicken and the egg thing. Like we wanted to show one thing, but to show that we had to build another thing.
Right.
And then now that that's out, we kind of want to bring it back saying, hey, we're not so much a guitar custom building company as much as an electronics company. But if you want us to outfit a guitar with this already in, we'll make it the best guitar you've ever played on.
Right. I love what you said about like the woods and the shapes have stories, because really I think a lot of us who are musicians think of music in terms of being a story. We're telling a story with our hands and with our voices. And so like for your guitars to have stories behind them the stories have stories. It's super cool. So tell us, what is the X series pickup blending system? What does it do?
All right, so like we said a little bit before, the X series is a way really to, on the smallest way of saying it, it's a way to unlock the full potential of a guitar that you already own or will own by taking every pickup that's already on there, whether it's a humbucker, a single coil, P90, jazz bass pickup, P bass pickup, anything you could dream of. It takes whatever's on there and allows you to blend in like an EQ system, any proportion of any pickup at any point in time. So how selector switches work on most guitars now is there's a predefined position. So it'll have a north coil on the neck pickup, or it'll flip down to, you know, a south coil on the bridge, or neck middle bridge, you know, something simple like that, or random splits. But if I want 2 of these, 1 of these, and 10% of this, you just can't do that.
Right.
And with this system, you put it in, all of a sudden now every pickup has its own dial. And you almost have to think of it as you're EQing your tone. Like you're really like thinking about what tone you want, and you color it in. You start playing, and if it's too bright, you bring in a little neck, or you bring in a little mid. And if you want more spank on it, you'll flip to, let's say, a north coil on the front and the rear, put them on the same time, and put in some humbucker in the middle. It becomes like a mixer system rather than, you know, this predefined position that you're locked in.
Either or.
Yeah, there's no either or. I mean, now when I'm playing a guitar, if I don't like how it sounds, I don't go to my amp and tweak it, or I don't go to my pedals, or I don't go into fix it in post. I can literally just tweak it on my guitar right there. For once, I can truly be a control freak of my tone right on my hands, right there.
Right.
And I know it's just going to work.
Yeah.
I used to use active pickups in my touring days, and these EMG 81, 85s, and I loved them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the tone starts to suck gradually as
your
the 9 volt
battery
goes down.
dies. Yeah.
But you don't know it's going down until it's too late. And then when
Yeah.
you change it out, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm like, you know, decibels under where I should be. You never have that with this.
Yeah.
So it's all plug and play, solderless. I mean, non-destructive. I mean, you don't have to drill holes if you don't want to for things. It's just, if you want the most, these kits come with everything. There's toggle switches, there's knobs, every potentiometer, and you literally just snap. Like, it's all replacement hardware. You literally take out all your old stuff, literally throw it away. And so you're just down to raw wood on your guitar.
Yeah.
Put in our stuff, 5 minutes, you're done.
Wow. That's super cool.
And if you don't like it, throw it out, put your old stuff back in, you know?
Yeah.
But that won't happen.
So we talk about guitars, talk about your X series. What
Yeah.
what else does Ellis Guitars do?
Okay, so we have guitars, we have the electronics behind the scene. So where else is there to go? Well, pickups, of course. So if I went on this deep dive in a tonal journey, if you will, I wanted to understand for myself why guitars sounded the way they did. And I've read so much stuff about the tone wood myths, and, you know, where does the sound come from? Is it coming from the pickup? Is it coming from where it's mounted? Is it the body wood? Is it the veneer? Is it the, you know, fretboard? And, you know, these are people smarter than I'll ever be, but I needed to know for myself really how this happened. So
Yeah.
what I would do is I would get a large block of generic tone wood, like mahogany or maple, and I would cut it into multiple blanks, and I would make the same guitar body out of the same one. So let's say I have 6 permutations of the same piece of wood. I did the same thing with the necks as well. So I had the same, like a maple neck, and then I had a mahogany neck, and then I did the same thing with fretboards. You know, you get it. So what I would do is I would make every version that I could of the same guitar, and then I put them all together using the exact same pickups and everything to see how tonally they're different.
Yeah.
And it's really funny for me to see I can have 2 of the exact same guitars, and the only thing different is the fretboard, and the tone is different. So people can argue all day or night, but for me, I know in my head where the tones are brighter and darker and what's causing those and in what proportion. But the one wild card with mix is pickups. And I had been buying Seymour Duncans for years, and EMGs and all kinds of other ones, and they were great, but they're so expensive. And
Yeah.
once we were churning out guitars, I mean, the majority of the cost was coming in pickups. So I was like, I don't love these. Maybe I can come up with some myself. So came up with a recipe, did all that stuff, and came up with some really unique sounding pickups that we just love. And we have kind of a small inventory of the choices, but each one is colored in such a way that it really makes the X series pop off awesomely. It gives you the largest range of tones on one instrument that I could find.
Yeah. And I have a guitar that's retrofitted by you.
You do.
And it has the custom pickups, and you're right. I can go full spectrum on the thing, and it's beautiful. So we got custom electronics, we got custom guitars, pickups. Anything else? Is that?
There's more in the pipeline, but nothing I can talk about yet.
All right, cool. So if someone's interested in learning more about Ellis Guitars, about the X series, where could they go?
Go to ellisguitars.us. You can go. That's our website. You can go to our Instagram page, Ellis Guitars US. Ironically, all the social medias, you'll find us there. Or go to Reverb. And you can check the current stock right now too.
Cool, sick. Well, thanks for taking the time. This has been super cool. Just sit down and talk guitars. I'll do it all day.
Absolutely.
It's cool. Thanks. We'll check y'all later.
Are you already recording or are you practicing?
I don't know. Are we recording? Cool. We have a blooper reel.